What is up, guys? Welcome to Diggity, a video game podcast, episode number 45. Holy cow, that's a lot of episodes. I'm Jeff James. As always, with me is the incredible, luscious, the under the weather today, the inventor of Sudafed, the inventor of Surzup.
Surzup. Nice.
Luscious Brody, how are you? Luscious Brody folks.
Sick. Really sick and really tired.
Couldn't tell, but you know what's even sicker? Following us on Instagram and Twitter at Diggity Podcast. Ooh, got him. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Diggity Gaming is the username there. And subscribe to our podcast, the audio version, on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Spotify, or wherever you listen except for Pandora because they can't get their shit together. Come on, Pandora, pick it up. And today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. You can get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial by heading on over to audibletrial.com/diggity. That's Diggity. You can get access to over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, your Android, your Kindle, or if you're old as shit, your MP3 player. So head on over to audibletrial.com/diggity to get your free audiobook download and 30-day free trial. And with that, my dude, I fulfill my obligations. Bring us the deals, brother man.
All right, we got two Diggity deals this week. The first one is Red Dead Redemption 2 for PS4 and Xbox One for $39.99 on Amazon. And if you pre-order Anthem at Walmart, which if you've listened to us, we don't recommend.
If you decided not to listen to us, you could pre-order Anthem.
But you can pre-order it at Walmart and you get a $10 credit.
Yeah, that's their apologies for you pre-ordering Anthem. Most people would have looked at that as a promotional thing. This is an apology ahead of time.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry about this, but here we go.
Well, today's podcast, meat of our podcast, is obviously going to be the Nintendo Direct that happened today. It's Wednesday, my dudes, as we're recording this. Ooh! I freaking love that Vine. After Ethan showed us that was great. But we have a couple of small news pieces, and obviously we're going to get into the Activision Blizzard stuff as we know that hit recently. Before we get into all that, our Indie Radar. Indie Radar is something where we pick an indie game each week. The video or trailer or gameplay video of that indie game that we choose goes up on our YouTube page, Diggity Gaming. And it's just basically a game that is on its way to being released. And sometimes there's some larger indies that we pick, and sometimes there's some smaller indies that we pick. And then we usually discuss it on the Thursday show as to why we picked it and why we like it. So this week's Indie Radar game is Lonely Mountains Downhill. The developer is Megagon Industries, which is based in Berlin, Germany. The publisher is Thunderful, which is based in Gothenburg, Sweden.
And what a wonderful name.
Gothenburg.
A thunderful name.
You think that's like maybe that's like if Batman still had his parents and shit, they would grow up in the suburb of Gothenburg.
Yeah, probably.
Anyways, the platforms that this game's going to be coming out on is going to be PC, Mac, Linux, PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. So pretty much all of them. The release date is for 2019. The description from their website is just you and your bike. Take it on a thrilling ride down an unspoiled mountain landscape. Make your way through thick forest, narrow trails, and wild rivers. Race, jump, slide, and try not to crash all the way from the peak to the valley. So the features in this game is there's a Find Your Way, which is play it safe and follow the trail to take the risk and go cross-country to find the fastest way down, because it is kind of like a time trial-based game. There's custom bike physics in it. This is from their Steam page. They say that we developed a custom bike physics system to achieve very tight and fun controls while still incorporating the feeling of driving a downhill bike through rough terrain. Seamless tracks, ride all the way down from the top of the mountain to the valley in one seamless ride with no loading times. See the world, travel to different mountainscapes, and experience a beautiful nature untouched by men. No audience, no barrier tapes, just you and your bike. And then secret locations, explore the mountains to find secret locations. The greatest thing about this game that gets me hyped up about it is just the look of it. It's minimalistic, but the camera system that's in it is just fantastic. It has an in-focus and autofocus, out-of-focus camera to it, and it makes it really shine. And just the fact that there's no load screens for worlds and stuff. You can just go ride your bike where the hell you want. You can do time trial sensitive mode to it. It's got me super pumped for it. I think this game is going to do just bonkers, honestly. I think it's going to be a huge success. I think it's going to be a great game for Let's Plays. In fact, I'd like to do a Let's Play on this. I made a note of that for our YouTube channel. And I think it's a beautiful game. It's a lovely game, and the release date, obviously, like I said previously, is 2019. So we don't have an exact date, but it is a kick-ass looking game. It looks so much fun.
Yeah, it looks like a blast. I mean, the whole premise of it is not necessarily anything new. I mean, in a way, it kind of reminds me of the Trials games, but in a completely different perspective, and looks like it's really going to capture just this. It has this really neat art style, and I think it's going to capture like just a different take on this kind of genre or indie games in general, really. I mean, I haven't really seen anything exactly like this by any stretch of that, but yeah, no, it looks awesome, man. I'm excited, and we'll definitely do a Let's Play on this once we get around to it and once it comes out.
Yeah, I think between the art style and the gameplay, I think you can get super serious with it, but then also I think at the same time you can just pick it up and just explore, which is what I really like. It seems like a super versatile title. But anyways, yeah, we've got a little bit of news, just two little pieces before we get into Activision Blizzard stuff. Do you want to handle those?
Yeah, man. So first off, Far Cry New Dawn is set to launch on February 15th. So tomorrow, if you're listening to this, on release date, for PS4, Xbox, and PC, the title will be priced at $40 due to it being a spinoff. So,
which I was pretty surprised about. I mean, I get it's a spinoff, but it's still a piece of intellectual property that does super well for them. Not that I want to give them a reason to do 60, but you know.
Yeah, I kind of wonder how much content's actually in here, because from what I understand, it kind of just, I mean, like they said, it is a spinoff, and it's kind of just coming on the heels of Far Cry 5.
Yeah, and at E3, I thought it was a full game because I haven't followed it that much. I'm not a huge Far Cry guy, but then when I looked into it, I'm like, oh wow, so it's kind of like a, I mean, not a mini game, but I mean, not a full fleshed out
bit smaller,
Far Cry,
yeah.
which is kind of interesting to me that they would choose to have done that.
Right.
I feel like if you're gonna do it, just go full tilt. I'm not knocking it. I think it's cool that there's a $40 game coming out from a AAA, but you know, cool.
I think the reason they did do that is because most of the Far Cry games, they don't hinge on the previous Far Cry game. They're kind of their own instance of a sort. And so they wanted to continue the story from 5 and kind of look at what it's going to be like in the future. Which I didn't play Far Cry 5, so I don't entirely know what the story is, but from what I've heard and kind of listened to, I have an idea of what's going on. But it sounds like this is basically going to take place like years into the future after the end of Far Cry 5, and they just want to continue that story without doing a whole nother launch, just be able to put something a little bit smaller out and still, get people involved into it.
I don't know if you saw this, but I think a couple weeks back, it was funny, the Rage 2 team and the Far Cry team were having a little bit of a Twitter battle, like a fun Twitter battle, because the promotional art looked the same, and I mean the games kind of looked the same. But now that we know this, it seems like Rage 2 is obviously a full fleshed out game, and this is more of just a little happy spin-off of like, hey, if you're a big fan, pick this up.
Right.
So I think it's cool from that side of things, for sure. And I want to see how they're able to continue this, bring a $40 price tag, and then how the story continues into Far Cry 6. So, but that's up to them to choose that destiny. So we'll have to see. But other than that, hey, kind of neat to have a $40 game coming out. Haven't seen that in a long time. Usually it's Saddle Riders.
Right. So the next little piece of news that we have is that the PlayStation Classic is now marked down to $40, which it kind of brings the question of, are people kind of getting exhausted by retro gaming, or is this just the way that the PlayStation Classic was handled, or is it just Sony? I mean, it kind of makes you wonder, because it seems like the Nintendo consoles have done well,
right?
Whereas once PlayStation got around to it, it wasn't all that great. I mean, it did not sell obviously very well at all. I mean, we've been cut down $60 on the price now, so
yeah, it's insane.
That's at Walmart too.
That's at Walmart too. Primarily was the first one to cut the price on it. But
to me, I think it's for me. I think it was definitely how Sony handled it. I think from everything that I've heard, and mind you, we've talked about it before, but I've never really been a big Sony guy, so I didn't have any interest in this. But from what I've been hearing, I mean, it was just like a cheap emulation, honestly.
Oh, you could tell.
It with $100 price tag on it.
Yeah, you could
it's
tell
just
they just
way
wanted
too much.
They just wanted a piece of that. They're like, hey, we have small games too. Let's just put something out there. Go for it. And that's totally the wrong way to do it. I think that the big here's the thing, right? Sony's not the only one that's done that aside from Nintendo. I think the only reason why the Nintendo one works so well is because of the IP that they hold, and like that's it. And I get it.
And
people be
even
like,
then,
well,
I think the emulation on NES and the SNES Classic, I think they did a much better job, and the menus are laid out a lot better, and they actually put a little bit of effort into it.
We'll have to see how, and if they do the N64 Classic, how that works for emulation. Because I will say this, right? Like emulation from the side of things for the NES and the SNES is pretty easy, and the menu systems and stuff like that. I will give Sony credit or I guess a little leeway just because of the fact of PlayStation games in general, like a PS2 games to do emulation for it would be a pain in the ass if they want to do a PS2 Classic. But that being said, they totally rushed it. And if you look at anything else, like you look at like Sega Classic retro games or Atari retro consoles and stuff like that, like they don't do nearly as well as the Nintendo ones. And I do believe it comes down to that IP. And people be like, but PlayStation has great IP. They do, but it's not Mario.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to compete with
it's
Mario
or
Zelda or any of those.
It's not Zelda. These are IPs that get held, and this is a prime example of like why a Disney is a Disney and why Nintendo is a Nintendo, because they're so secure on their IP and they make sure nobody fucks with it, nobody touches it, so that they can use it to its full extent. So I think I'm honestly, personally, from my side, I'm kind of exhausted with retro gaming. Not gonna lie. I think if someone was to put out, like if they would put out another PlayStation Classic and it had like other things on it, or if Nintendo was to put out, I mean, it's hard, right? Because if an N64 Classic came out, would I buy it? Yes, I probably would. Which is funny, though, because I think that's kind of the Nintendo tag to it. But like, if someone said, hey, I'm doing a remaster of this game and it's coming out, I don't think I'd really be like, oh, that's great. Like, I'm kind of over remasters. I'm kind of over, these little boxes and purchasing them and hooking onto your TV and playing like, 20 to 30 different games on them. I just, it's kind of, it's pretty diluted at this point.
For me, I have a hard time going back to older games in general anyway, just because once you get used to new graphics, it's really hard to return to old graphics.
Is there a certain console, though? Like, at what point? Because I always ask this with people. So is it like, would you go back and play a 360 game or no? But would you have to go back? Would you have to go back farther? You know what I mean?
No, I have no problem going back to like N64 and stuff like that, because I think there's a lot more nostalgia there, whereas the 360 was still somewhat recent.
Yeah.
So it was kind of one of those things that it's like, it just looks modern but shitty all at the same time.
That's like PS2 for me. I have no reason to ever want to go back and play PS2 games.
Oh yeah,
like I just
nothing.
I don't even care. I have some super, like, Battlefront 2 and Battlefront are like some of my favorite games on the PlayStation 2. I still wouldn't go back and play them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I have no need
I'm right
to
there
want
with
to
you.
do that, and I have no idea, because I'd go back and I'd play PlayStation games, and I'd go back and play N64 games, and I'd play GameCube games, and I'd probably still go back and play 360 games depending on what they are. But for some reason, that one system, that's the system that I had. Like, I was a Sony kid before converting to Xbox, and I don't know why. I just don't want to go back. Maybe it's I've just played the shit out of it and I don't want to go back and play it anymore. I have no idea.
Very well could be. For me, it's just, like I said, the fact that they still look modern, but they just look like badly done modern games. I think that's my main issue. But I think overall, like up through 360 and probably even kind of some GameCube games I'm okay with. It just depends. Like, Wind Waker, I think Wind Waker still holds up great, but that's because of the graphical style that they chose, because
for sure.
It's a timeless way of doing it. But the games that tried to be modern and things like that, that's where you kind of run into the issues.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Cool. All right. Next story. This is one of the bigger stories of today. And this week, obviously, going forward. But Activision Blizzard has begun massive layoffs throughout the company. In an earnings call on February 12th, Activision Blizzard stated that they would be eliminating 8% of their staff starting that afternoon. 8% of their staff would work out to roughly 800 people within the organization. During the earnings call, CEO Bobby Kotick claimed that the company had once again achieved record results in 2018. But despite this, the decision has been made to reduce the workforce due to missed expectations for 2018 and lower expectations for 2019. They also stated that they plan to cut predominantly no game development jobs such as publishing and esports. Over the last few years, many of our non-development teams expanded to support various needs. Blizzard President J. Allen Brack said in a note to staff, "Currently, staffing levels on some teams are out of proportion with our current release slate. This means we need to scale down some areas of our organization. I'm sorry to share that we will be parting ways with some of our colleagues in the U.S. today. In our regional offices, we anticipate similar evaluations, subject to local requirements. The company has promised a comprehensive severance package to employees, but the exact details for what that entails is unknown as of now." So let's just break it down, I guess, because I think there's a lot of emotion when it comes to this subject, and not that there shouldn't be.
Right.
But let's break down kind of just the points of this. So the first thing, and this is the biggest part of what's been going around recently with people, is the fact that the CEO Bobby Kotick claimed, and they're taking the quote, saying that once again achieved record results in 2018, and that's kind of the meme that's going around right now. Is just that part. The second part that's not being said is that their expectations for 2019 is lower revenue. And I am sorry to say, but from a realistic standpoint, that matters as a public company.
Absolutely.
And I don't think that this is the right fucking way to do this at all. Like, I want to preference that. I know some people that work at Blizzard Activision. Those people did not lose their jobs on February 12th. But once a layoff happens like that, you're also going to lose other people additionally on top of that, because once one layoff happens, and especially a big one like that, generally speaking, a couple of their smaller ones might happen down the road as well. Anyways, the CEO handled this fucking poorly. You don't come out and say,
absolutely,
we did great in 2018, but we're going to be low in 2019. He could have come out and said 2018 was a year of learning for the organization. We still hit we hit our results needed in 2018. However, 2019 will be a down year. Concluding to this, we will have to cut staff as projects aren't, there's not enough. There's just so many fucking ways he could have done this better. And they didn't. That being said, they didn't want to cut any game development jobs, such as publishing and esports. So the thing with this is it's interesting, right? Because I think it's a classic case of they had a shit ton of money, so they hired a ton of people, and perhaps they needed that many people over the last couple of years while they were creating things like Overwatch and the different WoW expansions or stuff that they've been doing now for the Chinese mobile market. But the president, J. Allen Brack, said over the last few years, many of our non-development teams expand to support various needs. Currently, staffing levels on some teams are out of proportion. So there was probably people who didn't have work to do, or it was going to be coming soon to not having work. And unfortunately, in a public company, your only goal as a public company is to raise your revenue quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter and have higher earnings every single time. And I think right now, as a public gaming company, it is harder than ever to please investors when you look at EA and when you look at Activision Blizzard in some situations as well on the stock market. And they're hedging their bets that 2019 is going to be a lower year. They know that because they're probably going to be going into development or they're planning out projects. I'm sure Bungie leaving Activision kind of fucked a lot of things over and threw a wrench into some things. But it's not their fault for this layoff at all. It's just I'm sure that definitely didn't help them planning out their next 2 to 3 years as a company. And I think they're hedging their bet of let's get rid of this human capital cost that happens month over month over month. And, this is how we'll be able to boost our revenue because we won't have as high of costs.
I think, honestly, what's going on, it obviously sucks. I mean, seeing 800 people lose their jobs is never something that you want to see. That being said, it is kind of this industry, which, and a lot of people know that going into it.
It's entertainment.
Right, entertainment in general. The other thing is, this is, like I said, it's fairly normal. I think the main issue here is just how they handled it and how they, coming out and saying that your company achieved record results and then saying you're firing 800 people.
Yeah.
That's where the issue lies, not in the actual. Yeah. I mean,
I think the president,
obviously I don't want to see.
I think the president handled it great.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he gave this is why we're letting people go, because there's too many fucking people here and it literally doesn't make sense. That's what it literally says.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he handled it much better.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just kind of one of those things that ended up getting blown, not necessarily out of proportion by any means, but more so just taken to a whole nother level just because of how idiotic that the statement from the CEO was.
Yeah, that was pretty dumb. And I mean, they are getting severance packages. We have no idea what that is, and we probably never will because usually an NDA is signed. We take that. But one thing I will say is that the industry takes care of people, and I've seen so many studios reach out. I've seen people make lists online of employees and how to reach them, to reach out to people to try and get them to come work for different studios. But one of the topics I wanted to bring up on this is that another, when we discussed Telltale, which looking back on it, that was because someone poorly ran a company and it ran out of fucking money. I mean, that's what happened, right? That's what happens. And unfortunately, it fucking happens all the time. Most businesses don't make it past 5 fucking years. That's what it is.
Right.
And with this one, unionization is coming up again for video game devs. And my stance again is I don't think that that's the answer.
No, absolutely not.
I get it. It's an entertainment, and people be like, well, it's just like movies. It is and it isn't. I think the way that games are made and the way that movies are made are fundamentally completely different. I think the moving parts of a movie are far more intricate and more contractually based work anyways, comparative to video games. There's a lot of contract work in video games, but a game like fucking World of Warcraft is an ongoing thing. Making Fast and the Furious 1, 2, and 3, people still stopped fucking working on that in between working on, Fast and Furious 1, then there's a break, then there's 2, then there's a break, then there's a 3. Hard to believe because it seems like there's a fucking Fast and Furious movie coming out like every 3 months. But there's actually breaks.
Hang on. We're getting Hobbs and Shaw, man. It's not Fast and Furious.
God,
it's different.
Now it's a spin-off. Oh my God, incredible. But yeah, this unionization keeps coming up. And I mean, we can get into that more in depth another day, but I personally think I think it's a reaction to this.
It's a knee-jerk reaction, and it always is. I mean, it comes up anytime something like this happens.
Yeah, people are hurt. Families are hurt. I get it. It's fucking terrible. But to unionize, I mean, the barrier to entry for video games is so bad now. With a union, it would make me wonder how much worse would it get? Because a union is not easy to be part of, be in, and especially does not make the hiring process easier by any means. And there's so much talent out there that I don't know. I feel like it's incredibly different compared to the movie industry, and I know that that's the thing that's used all the time. But I mean, I don't know what to do about this. I mean, the thing is, like, this company's been around for a long time. The two companies merged. When a fucking merger happens, like, there's people at Activision that were doing shit that people at Blizzard were fucking doing, and the expectation is that, either people at Activision or people at Blizzard are doing the same fucking job. Someone has to go.
Right.
I mean, so there could have still been that, right? Look at the games. Like, they didn't announce anything at BlizzCon that was like, holy shit. There's a Diablo mobile game. I think right now they're sitting, and they're probably going to build up for a couple bigger years or whatever. The same thing's happened at EA. They've laid people off. They've shut studios down. But, at the end of the day, they do spring back up. I mean, Epic Games, for example, the Fortnite, they had such a small team, and then they fucking exploded. Now they've got a massive team. And guess what? If Apex Legends takes away that market share from Fortnite, consistently for a number of years or a number of months or whatever it takes, people are going to fucking go. Like, people have to leave. There's no point in paying for that at that point. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Activision has actually come out and said that they're not planning any major releases this year, which is kind of odd because there are still kind of a few major releases coming out this year from Activision, but apparently that's not anything they consider to be major. But so it's interesting, and there's always that knee-jerk reaction to unionize, which being in a company that in my normal day job that absolutely does not have a union and like extremely frowns upon it, and then seeing the people that do work for companies that are unionized, I agree. I don't think that unions are the right choice by any means, and I feel like unions would cause a lot more issues that people do not realize. And I know we've covered it before and kind of gotten into a little bit more of the details on that, but
and it's nothing politically motivated from our end. We just literally think from a business sense, from the project. It's all project based,
right? And
when you don't have projects, just like the president alluded to, why would you have people? And maybe it would work when it's a private company, but when you don't have projects on the line, or your projects are for the next year or two, all you need is developers. You don't need marketing and publishing, or you need to slim down your marketing and publishing and launch team. You just need developers. Investors are going to fucking say something. They're going to go, why have your human capital costs remain the same, even when you know that you're not releasing anything new for the next 2 years? And they have to, unfortunately, that is the sacrifice you make as a company. You want to raise more funds to be able to make bigger, badder fucking games. And the hope is that they can continue to do that, build up bigger and badder games, hire 1,600 more people instead of the 800 people that they lost in this instance, and hopefully layoffs really never happen again because they have so much projects on the go. I hope that's their goal. I would assume that's their goal because they want to increase revenue consistently, right? So it's just that's the sacrifice you make when you want to get public money. That's it.
Yeah.
You just have to pander to the investors, and that is it. Because there's a lot of people out there with a lot of money. If they pull it, you are fucked. Yeah. So, anyways, on from let's get back into some title specific stuff. Just one more piece of news before we get into the Nintendo Direct recap. You've got this one, dude.
Yeah, the Division 2 is getting a open beta. So the beta will start March 1st and run through the 4th.
Woo.
Exact start times have yet to be released, but this is going to be an awesome chance for anyone who is unsure about this game to at least try it and give her a go.
Yeah, you can try it out and see if you think the same things that we thought when we were playing the private beta last weekend, and gave our thoughts on that on episode 44 of the podcast, which was good. We gave it a go get this thing. So this is great to see in open beta, because when we were actually playing the private beta, I said to you guys, like, do you think this is going to be an open beta? And you're like, I don't know. Ubisoft likes to keep them kind of private, generally speaking. And this is great to see that this is going to be an open beta for people to really get a chance to play it before it launches on March 15th. All right, so let's get into kind of the big news in this podcast. And normally we would do a Nintendo Direct. We would do a separate podcast for this, but just because of the day that it fell on, we were like, well, that's when we record the normal podcast. There's the magic behind production. But, it makes it a little hard to kind of make one, and that's kind of, throwing way too much content to you guys within the same 12 hours. But anyways, I'm gonna run through quickly just kind of games that they announced that are coming out that are kind of indie titles, and also some remasters and some older titles that are coming out as well. So bear with me here as I run through this long ass list. But it was a pretty crazy Nintendo Direct, which people were expecting just kind of like a pretty numbing one, but it actually proved to be pretty neat. So Box Boy, which is a puzzle platform, will be launching April 26th. These are all Switch games, by the way. Marvel Ultimate Alliance will be coming out summer 2019. Bloodstained will be coming summer 2019. Dragon Quest Builders 2 will launch July 12th. Disney Tsum Tsum Festival will be launching in 2019. Rune Factory 4 Special Remastered will be coming out in late 2019. And there was a hint at the end that Rune Factory 5 is currently under development. Onanaki, which is a single-player campaign game made by Ubisoft, which I'm super excited for, is coming out summer 2019. Dead by Daylight is coming out fall 2019. Deltarune Chapter 1, which had a very odd trailer with a bunch of pixelated dogs flying across the screen, which I thought was interesting, is coming out February 28th, so that's the closest one in this grouping. And Chapter 1 is actually free, which is great. Daemon X Machina is the demo is available today, meaning this is Wednesday when we're recording, so you can download that demo as you're listening to this podcast if you haven't already. And the full game will be launching summer 2019. Kind of neat also, during that, for Daemon X Machina, they discussed that while you're playing the game, if you can give some feedback through the demo, it would be fantastic. And they actually might give you a redeemable code to go into the eShop, and you can play a separate level if you give them advice that they enjoy, which I thought was really cool. Grid Autosport, which is being made by Codemasters. So a racing game is finally coming to the Switch that isn't a Mario Kart. This launches summer 2019. Hellblade is coming spring of 2019. I have no idea what that's going to look like on a Switch, but that's a whole other story. Mortal Kombat 11 comes out April 23rd. Unraveled 2 will launch on March 22nd. Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered will have all its DLC included, and that'll launch on May 21st. Final Fantasy 7 will launch May 26th. Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon Everybody will launch March 20th, quite the title. And Final Fantasy 9 launches today, which is February 13th as we're recording on the Wednesday, which is also really cool. I always love when they friggin' be like, and you can get it today.
Right.
So
isn't Final Fantasy 9 like the least favorite out of all of the Final Fantasies?
It's my least favorite. There's probably a cult following out there for just 9. Some sick people out there.
Yeah. I think overall it's. Oh, I didn't mean to advertise.
Geez, don't advertise on the podcast.
Sorry.
They don't pay us. What the hell? Solid list of just kind of.
Oh, absolutely.
Games that are coming out. I probably
especially
won't be able to,
Disney Tsum Tsum Festival.
Oh yeah, I probably won't be able to fucking find half of these in the eShop because of the design of it. But hey, that's something.
Well, there's that.
So when your game comes out, it'll be great. Then I can see it for about a week, and then it's gone.
Have you ever played any of the Grid racing games?
No, I have not.
They are actually very good racing games.
Excited.
I'm a fan.
I was just excited to see a it's called professional racing or just realistic, super realistic kind of racing game come to the Switch.
Right.
I love Mario Kart. I love Crash Tycoon Racing when that comes out, but it's just nice to see this on a handheld. I mean, we really haven't had something like this since a PSP.
Yeah,
to this level,
and while I was watching this, Amber was kind of watching it with me, and I told her, I was like, I didn't realize that it was grid at first.
Yeah.
And I'm watching it, I'm like, shit. I was like, a racing game on the Switch. Like, racing games never do well on Nintendo products other than kart racing games like Mario Kart. And then it got to the end, and it said it was grid, and I'm like, oh, damn. I actually really like the grid game, so I'm kind of excited for that. And then I was also surprised that like the Assassin's Creed remaster was announced today. I mean, because we just saw it get leaked.
Well, I guess
a couple days ago.
It's so fucking funny, dude, because in the direct, they fucking flew by that game so quickly. Like they had like 10 seconds, and then it's like, this is coming out, and this is coming out, and this launches, and this launches.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, they were rapid firing. I can't believe they got through this in 35 minutes.
I had to pause the fucking video so I could take notes.
I am concerned though, because the Assassin's Creed 3 that they showed in the direct, it was choppy. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I don't think it's
extremely choppy.
I think you're gonna be okay in it. I don't think it'll be choppy. Yeah. It's definitely not gonna look good.
No, but I guess I just don't understand why, if you're having a direct that is announcing that your game is coming to the Switch, why is the footage choppy?
On Ubisoft, because they would have had to provide the footage.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
Well, that's what I said.
No, it's fucked.
Why are you giving Nintendo choppy footage to advertise your game?
I don't know. Let's hope to God it's not like that. My guess is they just had to announce it because it was leaking.
These are all pre-recorded, and it was only leaked like 2 days ago, so I highly doubt it, but
it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see what else Assassin's Creed they bring to the Switch after this one. I think it'll do well. The fact that all the DLC is included is great too. I really like that they did that, because there's actually a lot of DLC for that game.
Right.
So I guess on this quick list, things that I got kind of pumped for, Box Boy, it was kind of neat. Just the fact that it's co-op, which is really cool, because there's I think her name's Cutie or something like that, which is kind of neat. Dragon Quest Builders 2 actually looks kind of cool.
That looks significantly better than the first one.
Oh yeah,
and the first one's beloved, but the second one was, I mean, it looks gorgeous. It looks great.
Onanaki looks really cool. I just like the fact that it's a single player campaign game on the Switch. That's awesome. Was not impressed by Dead by Daylight on the Switch. That
game doesn't do anything for me anyway.
That did not look good at all on the Switch. It could have just been the video, but I'm not a fan of that. Grid Autosport, I was excited for that. I actually might buy that. I think that's kind of neat to be on the go and have like a realistic racer like that. That's really cool. Unraveled 2, I'm actually looking forward to that. I think it's adorable. And Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon, everybody, I just like it because the fucking title's ridiculous. Everybody is spelled, every is one word, and then buddy, Buddy. It's just classic. Anyways, moving on to that. Before we get into the big subject matter of the direct, a couple little items. Bayonetta 3, they literally just said, we're fucking working on it. That's it. There was no image. There was no images. There was nothing. It was just Bayonetta 3. You were probably wondering what is going on. Like Kiwami was like, you are probably wondering what is going on with Bayonetta 3. I would like to tell you, we are working on it.
That concerns me.
And that was it.
That concerns me because, especially with, being on the heels of Metroid Prime 4 being basically completely restarted, Bayonetta 3 has been known about for a while now, and we're still not seeing anything.
Same dev, maybe?
I don't know. I would assume so.
Huh. I'm not the hugest Bayonetta guy. Like, I'm not.
No.
I think it's cool. I don't think it's lame. I think it's pretty cool. It's kind of like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I've been struggling through the first one. I'm so close to it, and I've heard the second one is significantly better, but I am like
it's a wild game,
2 or 3 levels away from being done with the first one, and I have not been able to drag myself to finish it.
another game that was announced was Tetris 99, which I'm actually super pumped about this. I thought it was super cool.
This looked awesome.
So the great thing is Tetris 99 will be free and available to Nintendo Online users starting today, which is really cool. The premise of this game is basically you're playing your Tetris game, and then there's 99 other people playing Tetris as well, and you can see them playing on the sides, and basically you're trying to be the last one standing. So it's survival Tetris. But the fact that it's online with 99 people, super cool. And the fact that it comes out today and the fact that it's free, huge benefit to that.
When they were announcing that, I saw the 99 players and one winner thing. I'm like,
Battle
shit,
Royale
here we go.
Tetris.
Another Battle Royale. So now we have Tetris Battle Royale.
It's
going to be great.
The storm moves in. Fucking little rectangles come in. Little sticks. You have been served the stick.
It just restricts your play area, so you can only
play.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
No, it looks really cool. I am excited for that game.
Last little piece of news before we get into the big stuff from the Direct. Toad Treasure Tracker. So there's an update coming to Toad Treasure Tracker, bringing co-op to all levels starting today, which is super cool that they did that. And there'll also be a free Treasure Tracker DLC launching March 14th, which will bring 5 new courses to the game. Super cool that they did this. I mean, the fact that you can do co-op now in this game, they're just like, yeah, fuck it. Let's make them be able to work together. That's just, I mean, that's awesome, dude. That's so cool. Super, super cool.
That would make some of those levels so much easier to get all the shit in.
Oh my god, yes.
Because some of them, like, you just have to go back and replay them just to get some of the gems, because you can only go a certain way to get one and things like that. But honestly, the game is quite a bit of fun. I mean, I think I was a couple levels away from beating it, and I only rented it just so I could kind of see what it was all about. But then at that point I was almost done with the game, so there wasn't any point in buying it. I might rent it just to finish it for completion's sake. But
all right, so big items that were in this Direct, and when I mean big, I mean they're pretty big. There's one in particular that's pretty massive, but the some of these we might be able to get by some of these pretty quickly. But the first one is Super Mario Maker 2 was announced. That launches in June of 2019. Looked awesome. Looked like a Super Mario Maker. Looked like they added some extra additional things. Looks like they've improved the UI on it, so it's easier to use on a Switch for the UI. And it looks like you can do like different enemy routes and stuff like that, which looks awesome. So you can figure out the animations and change the animations and change where the enemies move on screen on the Mario Maker this time. And it looks like I don't even know what they can add now to Mario Maker, because it looks like they've literally have every single thing in there possible known to man. And it looks like the load times are super quick, and you can just jump into your level while you're mid-editing and just try it out and test it before having to load everything up. But this is great, and the fact that it's June 2019, that's a huge game coming out for them, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm excited to try it because I have never played a Mario Maker
really?
Because I did not have the Wii U, and I heard it's just not as good as on the 3DS, so I just avoided it. So I'm super excited. Everyone kind of thought that they were just going to port the first one over because, I mean,
why not?
Really, what else do you add? But apparently they found more to add, and I think this is going to be a fantastic addition to the Switch library.
Absolutely.
So the next one that we have is the Super Smash Ultimate Spring Update. Basically, they announced that and then kind of said was like,
check back here soon.
Yeah, you'll hear from us soon. Like, oh,
why even fucking
that
mention
was
it?
kind of a tease, but all right. But they did this, and then kind of it was like an advertisement for Amiibos, basically. They're like, hey, we have new Amiibos.
Classic Nintendo.
And then they also, of course, brought up that Joker is being added to Smash in April, which is the first time we've seen a release date, and that's with the Smash Pack.
The first one, yeah.
Or whatever
they're calling it.
Whatever they call
Pack
it.
or
I don't
Smash
think
Pack
I don't think Smash Pack was right, but
Battle Pack.
it was Fighter
Battle Pack thing or something like that.
But anyway, he's coming April 1st. He's from Persona 5.
April Fools.
In case you did not
know,
which
Nintendo won't launch him.
It looks
He won't come out because it'll be April Fools. Nintendo will be like, psych, it's April 2nd. Bitches gotta wait a whole another 24 hours. Dragon Quest XI S Definitive Edition launched, which is fucking hilarious, I might add, because the last episode, you're like, what would that be called? We're talking about a game. You're like, what would that be called? I'm like, blah, 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 S. And you're like, S. Why the fuck would they do that? I'm like, everyone's putting S into everything nowadays, man. Come on. And then I watched this, dude, and the S was on there, and I'm like, I love it. Game looks wonderful.
Called it.
Graphics look especially well thought out. Cool ability I found in this game was you can switch between 3D and 16-bit mode for the whole fucking game.
Which is crazy.
Insane. And like, it's not just like your movement around the map. Like, even the battles change from battling in 3D to battling in a 16-bit perspective, and it's like, holy shit, with like text boxes and everything. And I'm like, that's just absolutely insane that they can do that. This launches in fall of 2019. We're supposed to hear more about this as well later throughout the year in another direct. I mean, this is going to be a massive title for them. I'm actually, you know what? I might pick this one up. I haven't played a Dragon Quest in a long ass time, but I might pick this one up.
I think this one looked fantastic. I did not pick it up on PlayStation just because I don't play my PlayStation all that much.
It seems like a handheld game too. Like,
it would work fantastic as a handheld game, and I think the way that they did the graphics. It really reminds me of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, it's like Breath of the Wind. It's Breath of the Wild and
Breath of the Wind Waker.
I was gonna say it's like Breath of the Wild and Wind Waker mixed. Like, I think it was a good solid mix in between for the art style.
I think they were able to make it look gorgeous while still making it work on the Switch, which the Switch is not a powerful console by any means, so that is a challenge all in itself.
Absolutely.
But next up, we have Yoshi's Crafted World, which looks absolutely adorable.
Yes.
But you can collect up to 180 costumes that guard you from damage. One being an apple juice box that they showed off. A demo is available to play today, which includes the first level, and the full launch is March 29th.
Yeah, the game looked beautiful. I was surprised to see the costumes. I was surprised to see that the costumes actually help you and guard you from stuff. I was like, and like, it was funny, like, costumes, and then they show a photo and it's like Yoshi's in like a fucking juice box, and I'm like, well, that's not a costume, that's a fucking juice box that he's in.
It's armor.
Yeah,
man.
I'm looking forward to that. I definitely want to play the demo. I'm going to try that out and check it out. Fire Emblem Three Houses was the other one that was announced, wasn't announced, was shown more of. So the cool things in this I found was you could select your own character, male or female, which is really cool. And you could choose a house to be part of, which is very Harry Potter. It could have been like, you could be Slytherin, you could be Hufflepuff, you could be Gryffindor. But I thought that was super cool. The story tree changes. They alluded to that a couple times where really you write your own path in this game. You get to train your students because you're a leader of the house that you choose. So you train your students out in the field by putting them to battle, and you can train their other skills, everything from like, their attack stuff to even riding a fucking horse. Like, you can do anything. This launches July 29th, which is interesting because the launch date actually got moved from spring as they said they needed more development time, which is interesting to me. And I wonder if they moved it because there's something else coming for us.
Well, you figure spring. They have Yoshi's Crafted World coming out March 29th.
Do you know what I think happens in spring?
What?
I think they announced the N64 Classic.
That very well could be.
That's what I think. I feel like they moved it. Like, I get they actually probably need development stuff, but I actually think it was also a blessing to them. I think that they actually have some stuff that they want to announce in spring, and I don't think they want even just those announcements to get in the way of what would be the release. Like, I could very well see them either announcing the Classic and like the N64 Classic and saying that that's coming holiday season, because that's when the other retro consoles have launched, right? Around like November-ish time or something like that, if I'm correct.
Yeah. Yeah, for the most part.
And
The re-release for the NES was in June, I believe. But yeah.
And then I really believe that we were going to get a Mario Kart announcement in spring, and we're obviously going to get an Animal Crossing, more info on that in the spring as well. And so
I cannot believe that they didn't show anything for Animal Crossing.
I can. I think that they want to focus on a lot of remasters in this, and a lot of like indie games in this Switch Direct. And I think they wanted to just address Fire Emblem Three Houses, and they did. They went in depth on like the whole story and everything behind it. And the next thing that you're going to talk about from this Direct also is, I think they don't want something to overshadow that, because I think they're betting on this a lot. But if you want to hit us with that piece here.
Well, before we move on, I wanted to say a few things about the Fire Emblem. This is interesting because this is the best graphics that we've ever seen in a Fire Emblem game, and it looks gorgeous. Yep. It looks like a mixture of the Warriors game, the Fire Emblem Warriors game that they did, and like part anime. I mean, it looks.
Oh, looks great.
Some of it looks straight up like an anime show, but I am ridiculously excited for this. But anyway, the next one is Astral Chain. This is a new IP coming to the Switch. It's a sci-fi co-op beat 'em up, and it launches August 30th, 2019. Which obviously they're going to give us some more info on this game as we get closer, but just kind of wanted to throw it out there more than anything. This game is not my kind of game by any means.
Not mine either.
Holy cow, it looked awesome.
It did look great.
Like the trailer for it was incredible, and I'm surprised that they were able. Well, we'll see, but I would be surprised to see how detailed it will actually be in the Switch release. If they're able to actually pull off all of the things that you're seeing in that trailer. Yeah. But it was really a cool looking game for sure.
Kiwami alluded to, it's interesting how those two are fighting together. We'll have more info on that, down the road.
That was so weird and awkward.
Well, so here's the thing. I don't know if he's alluding to that based upon like their story of why they're fighting together, like in game, like their lore, or is it online co-op? Is it
I'm sure
online
it will be
co-op
online
through Nintendo? But that's great. How many fucking online co-ops do you see nowadays?
They've announced it in like 4 different games in this Direct
I know,
alone.
But other systems, dude. Like online co-op, other systems, online, like true.
It's definitely
true
way more
campaign
rare.
Co-op.
Right. It's way more rare than it ever has been.
I'm excited for that aspect. I'm not big on the whole sci-fi stuff.
No.
And it looks a little too Japanese mech kind of style.
Yeah.
Game to me where I'm just like, I might pass that. It looks like Gundam, and it looks like Daemon X Machina, honestly.
Yeah, I didn't really see any mech per se, though. It was almost more like you're fighting giant monsters.
There's monsters, but if you watched, there was a mech monster at one point and stuff like that too. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this one works out.
I think it looks really cool. It was super awkward. Like, I know you're saying that he's alluding to something, but it was just kind of weird how he was like, weird. You might see that, or you might have noticed that it looked like 2 of them were fighting together. And then he just moved on. Like, that was it.
Is it him being weird, though? Because it's
no, it was probably just the translation. Yeah, it just translated awkwardly, which happens sometimes.
The way the translator works is like he works like he's like he sounds like a fucking robot sometimes. We will have more info to come, and it's like, that's not how he fucking talks. He's probably like, this is a really kick-ass game. We'll have more info to come for you soon. And then it just gets so dialed down.
He probably even said it's online co-op, and our translator was just like, look. 2 of them.
Wow. Holy cow. Biggest surprise of the Direct, Link's Awakening is coming back, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah.
26 years since that game was released. When I watched the video of it being announced, I'm like, no way, no way, no way, no way. and then I saw it. I saw the art style. And I want to make this clear. When everyone was bitching about Wind Waker for the art style, I didn't give a shit. I thought it was cool. Yeah. When everyone bitched about, Twilight Princess going back to realistic stuff, and then Breath of the Wild going to oh my God, how can I forget it? Skyward Sword. Going to kind of like a watercolor painted thing to it, and then going to Breath of the Wild, which is like a weird version of that, plus like a Borderlands, plus a Wind Waker kind of esque art style, cell shading kind of stuff. I didn't care. This I care about. This is fucking chibi style. This looks like Link is a fucking Tsum Tsum. And
it wasn't that bad.
I just don't. Why do you have to do that for Link's Awakening?
How else were they gonna do it? It's a top-down game.
No, but there's better ways. Like if you look at like Four Swords or
Yeah, Four Swords was pretty cool, but I just don't think it would have fit that game. I don't think it would have fit Link's Awakening. Personally, I didn't care. I thought the art style was fine. It doesn't bug me nearly as much as it does you.
I'm still going to get it. I think it's...
You're just going to bitch about it the whole time?
No, I'm not going to... No, because I know what the game's like, and the game's going to be awesome. It's just...
Yeah.
I think it's too cutesy. Do you know what I mean? I get what they were going for. They didn't want to do a pixel-style game. Even though if they did, I would have bought it. I think it would have been cool if it was like more elaborate, right? Like they did like a 32-bit or something like that. But I don't know. And I also don't like the fact that fucking Goombas are in it. Not cool. I don't need that. I don't need these fucking universe crossovers. No, thank you. I don't need that. That's why I play fucking Mario Kart, Mario Party, and Super Smash. I don't let Zelda universe be the Zelda universe. Let fucking Mario be Mario. You don't see fucking Ganondorf coming into fucking Super Mario Odyssey and fucking stealing Peach.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And this is where I get scared because they take a game like that, and which legitimately is a great fucking game, and they kind of fuck with it a little bit. And my worry is have like this kind of like party attitude to the game in some sense. Like the trailer was totally like a fun vibe, like look at us, we're fucking adorable, running around little Tsum Tsums, and like you can kill Goombas and shit. And my worry is that translates. It would take a long time, but that moves into something else. Like, hey, here's a link to the past now, and guess what? Everybody's adorable little chibis, So
I don't think so. Zelda has done pretty traditionally. They go through, and almost every single game is a different art style.
I know.
I really don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it wasn't as chibi as
it looks like
was,
one
but
of those
it wasn't.
Fucking squish toys, dude. That the people at the fucking mall, like the kiosk in the mall, sell.
It reminded me more of like some of the 3DS games. Like a little bit more chibi style.
That's my thing. If it was
a
little less cutesy, I'd be okay with it. But it just feels like the art style, they're just trying to make chibi versions of every character instead of just it happens to be like a little lighter of an art style. I totally get your fact with like the top down shit. I get it.
There's only so much you can do with the top down shit
before you have to decide. Especially when you're not going to make it a pixel based game. But I don't know. I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna fucking play the game. I'm gonna buy the game. No fucking problem. I don't know. Not the biggest fan of that art style for Zelda.
I think, I don't know. My favorite Zelda game of all time, and my favorite game of all time, is the darkest, most gloom and doom Zelda game there is. And honestly, the chibi art doesn't faze me at all. I don't care. Whatever, bring it on. It's more Zelda.
Bring it on. Anyways, this is coming in 2019. We didn't get a specific quarter or season or month for that matter, but I'm sure they'll be showing more of this as we go along, and hopefully there's no toads in the game or weird stuff on top of the Goombas. That's kind of weird. More info to come at a later date, which is great. So recap on all this. I thought it was a pretty solid Nintendo Direct. Wasn't really expecting this much from it. I was expecting them to spend like 15 minutes on Fire Emblem,
Emblem.
but because even in all their tweets they alluded to like tune in for more information on Fire Emblem, and we're like, okay. And I mean, I guess they did give quite a bit of information. I think it was like 5 minutes.
Yeah, but it was only like 5 minutes. Yeah,
it wasn't a crazy amount.
The way they, like you said, when they put out the tweet, it was like, hey, there's a direct. There will be Fire Emblem and other things, and so I thought it was gonna be similar to almost not quite a Smash Direct, but kind of in the same vein where you were going to get a ton of Fire Emblem news, and then like everything else was just going to be like, oh yeah, and there's this, and that was it, But for me, I almost would have liked to see a little bit more Fire Emblem personally, but I'm also a huge fan of that series. I don't know. Just show me something.
Because you're the Fire Emblem guy.
I don't know necessarily what.
I would have liked to see more battles.
Yeah, that I wanted to see more gameplay, I think. Just a little bit more of actual in-game, like, hey, this is what it's going to look like, this is what it's going to do, battle animations, things like that. But, that being said, I think this was a phenomenal direct. I think this is one of the best directs we've had in a while because there was so much and a lot of it looked fantastic. Yeah.
And a lot of them is more news.
I'm okay with them not giving us a ton of Fire Emblem stuff because it doesn't come out till July now, so I'm sure it'll get brought up again.
Yes.
But with the amount of things that we got and honestly a lot of detail on quite a bit of it, I think it was phenomenal and it was paced excellent, and I think they did a bang-up job.
Dude, a lot of shit you could play today, too. Whether it be a demo or the full release. I just thought that was incredible.
Yeah.
Like, we got a Link's Awakening is being remade, which is crazy. We got news on a new IP coming. We learned more about Fire Emblem. We learned a little bit more about Yoshi's Crafted World. Dragon Quest looks great. There's an update for Super Smash. We fucking knew that already. Joker's coming in April. Super Mario Maker 2, which nobody was expecting that. They were just expecting a port.
Yeah.
And just the list of like 15 fucking games that are coming out too over the next little bit. And you figure like some of these are announced now, damn well in a couple months they're going to have another direct and there's going to be, another 15, 20 added to that list that are coming out in all different times. My God, dude, there's like each month there's got to be like, 4 to 5 solid games coming out on the Switch through like March, April, May, June, July.
Yeah, I think they're pacing themselves very well to have a very strong year, especially coming off of last year where they didn't really have all that many major releases, but still had a great year. I mean, they had, Smash and a few other things, but for the most part, their lineup wasn't all that strong. So I think they're setting themselves up to have a phenomenal year this year.
Completely agree. And with that, guys, we're going to have to close the show out. It was a fantastic Nintendo Direct. Before we close the show out here, we always have to guess, when do you think the next Nintendo Direct is? Let's not Smash. Exclude Smash. Because I think that's going to be like next month. In March.
I don't think that will... Do you think that's going to be a full direct that they're going to do for Smash?
I think so because I think it's the first.
I
think they will, and I think it's gonna be super short, only because this is the first pack of characters. So then they want people to know how to get it, where to get it, what's included, what's moving forward on things, and then I think afterwards they're not going to give a shit. That's my only thing.
I don't know. I would be surprised to see them do a full direct and kind of.
Okay, when do you think the next Nintendo Direct is going to be?
I think it will be in April, and they might mention it then, but I don't think it's going to be March. I think that's too soon. I think it'll be April. I think they'll briefly talk about Smash. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. It's going to be like, hey, Joker's available now, and then I don't even know if they'll announce the next character after that. I think they'll still keep that kind of under wraps.
Right.
I think we'll see some more Fire Emblem stuff and probably Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I think in April as well there'll be a direct. I think there'll be some Animal Crossing, some more Fire Emblem, some more on the new IP as well as Link's Awakening and Mario Kart. Every direct for me will have Mario Kart in it until it has Mario Kart in it. Anyways, guys, today's podcast was brought to you by Audible. You can get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial by heading on over to audibletrial.com/Diggity. That's Diggity. You can get access to over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or your MP3 player. So head on over to audibletrial.com/Diggity to get your free audiobook download and 30-day free trial. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Diggity Podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Diggity Gaming. I am available on Xbox One. My gamer tag is Maple Jeff. And Brody, yours is
Luscious Brody.
Sweet. Leave us a review on YouTube or on iTunes. It helps us out a ton. And until next time, guys, we will see you for the Tuesday show. See ya.